and welcome to another episode of Girls on Deck. I'm Kayla Burge, joined by Hannah Russo, as always, and today we have Ross Bernstein to discuss some NBA All-Star hot topics, along with some top 5 sports movies of all time, or our favorites at least. So we're going to get right into it. Now, the NBA All-Star list of starters and reserves was just released, and there were a few snubs. One of the more notable ones would be Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns, who averages about 24.7 points per game, is one of the hottest basketball players around right now, and he came up just short of the list. Now, Ross, I want to know what you think about this.
Right. So as far as Devin Booker goes, there's only one of two options here. There was going to be a guard coming from the Phoenix, no matter what, from the Suns, no matter what. It was a question of, is it going to be Chris Paul? Going to be Devin Booker, right? They ended up going with Chris Paul, obviously. In my personal opinion, I would go with Devin Booker, right? He's having somewhat of a better season, but he is having slightly of a down season compared to last. Not much as far as stats, but nonetheless, there is one in part because he's had to cede some of his success and some of his stats to Chris Paul for the better of the team. They're almost second in the West. They're 20-10 right now. But it was a hard one. Personally, I always say give it to the young guy, right? Chris Paul, I think this is his 11th. This is his 11th All-Star game, right? Give it to the new one, right? Devin Booker's averaging 24.7 points, 4 rebounds a game, 4 assists. Chris Paul's averaging 16, 4, and 9. So it's a tit for tat thing. Obviously, Chris Paul is a distributor. He's not going to be getting 20 points a game anymore. That's not his role. And he is a big part of the success, which weighs into it. But I think LeBron said it, Devin Booker is he said he's the most disrespected player in the league. I still think Russell Westbrook could still give him a run for his money because he puts up triple doubles like it's nothing, puts up Oscar Robertson type numbers. Granted, not very efficiently, but he still does it and is highly disrespected. Listen, I don't love the decision, but I think people are in too uproar about it. To me, more the uproar of the All-Star game is, one, they should have no positions. I don't like the 3, I think, 2 guards, 3 front court, 2 of any. Just make it the 7 best players. Or even better yet, that's 13 roster spots. Make it 15. You have 15 on a regular game. What changes for the All-Star game, right? Give 2 more people. But also, at the end of the day, if we think about it, Devin Booker more than likely will be an All-Star because I don't think Anthony Davis is going to play. I think his Achilles is hurt. No point in pushing it. Obviously, that's not what matters to the Lakers team right now. They're obviously a championship contender. So he'll probably get it anyway. But I think it's on the NBA mostly. Make it 15 spots. Give 2 more guys some shine. And just get rid of the front court, back court. Who cares? No one's playing defense anyway. Just let them go.
I definitely agree. He was my top player out of everyone, the 7 players that I think got snubbed of an opportunity. And yeah, he's the top of the injury replacement list, but there's guys that have been there 6, 7, 8 times, and it's nothing new to them. Someone else deserves an opportunity to get to play and just showcase themselves.
Now, going back to the Western Conferences for snubs, Ross, I want to know who else you think was snubbed in the Western Conference from the All-Star game.
Respectfully, I don't think anyone else was, I would say, snubbed, right? Obviously, I could find some people, maybe DeMar DeRozan, doing surprising things out of San Antonio. De'Aaron Fox is having a good season, right? But as far as a snub, I don't think any other player besides really Devin Booker has a great argument in the West, at least. In the East, I could probably find some, right? Jimmy Butler, listen, he missed a lot of games, but so did Kevin Durant, who was a starter. They missed the same amount of games, played the same amount of minutes. And Jimmy Butler, when he's out there, has been an impact player. And also, obviously, you're going to hear my bias, Bam Adebayo at this point. He's a star, right? But he's getting punished because COVID hit Miami harder than most other teams. So he stood up, but they are having a bad season, as much as I hate to say it, so I see it. But as far as a snub in the West, even in the East, the only other snub I could say overall would maybe be Trae Young. I always say you have to have at least one hometown player, right? Granted, I don't know the capacity in the stands. I don't know I don't think there's going to be fans. But still, it's an Atlanta tournament. I think he could have easily got there with Vucevic. But once again, like I said, because you need to have bigs and you need to have guards, you have a certain amount. You're not going to be able to get it over Vucevic because they need a big. And besides him, it's really only Julius Randle, right? Get rid of that. I think he should be taking over for Vucevic, possibly Simmons, right? Because I think once you're the second fiddle of a team, you don't really deserve an all-star or someone that's leading a team, right? Even though they're not very successful right now, the Hawks, I still think you'd have the argument it's a hometown. He's averaging 27-9. He's the first player in over 30 years to not make the all-star team when averaging 27 and 9. I think it's a bit of a shame, but once again, I think that's more in the NBA, just the need to reformat the All-Star game to fit all the players that deserve it in there.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go to someone on the East that was snubbed, I would say is Trae Young. I would say him and Jimmy Butler. If you're going to say one of those, I think those would be the two guys, just because Jimmy Butler's only played 19 games this season, but he averages 19.1 points, 7.6 assists and rebounds, 4 triple doubles, the fifth most in the league this season. Trae Young, 27 points for 8th in the league, 9.5 assists per game, good for 3rd in the league. So they both have just these stats that, put them at such a caliber. But I think with the Hawks not doing so well, maybe they just kind of like push the whole team aside. Trae Young is still, he's young. I think he's like 22. So he's a very young player and he still has time to go. It always happens.
He'll get there.
He'll get there. Exactly. He'll get there eventually. So if you're going to say in the East, I would say Jimmy Butler, Trae Young. In the West, I would say Devin Booker. But again, it's the All-Star game. I could agree with that maybe no one was exactly snubbed, but it would have been nice to see them there.
I agree.
100% agree.
Wait, what?
I said 100% agree. Also, shout out Julius Randle, because the Knicks are never been a good team. They have one of the worst managements in the history of all professional sports. So I'm glad they're succeeding. I think they put all that to the side, right? Mm-hmm. He's up for an extension. Knowing James Dolan, he won't get that extension because here's the thing about the Knicks. I'll go into my slight Knicks rant.
Go for it.
When you're in Madison Square Garden, you're in New York, you're going to sell tickets regardless. You're in the biggest market in the world. You can have the worst team, which they typically do. It's selling out every single game. They're a global icon. People have Knicks hats around the world that don't even know a single player on the Knicks.
That's true.
Madison Square Garden is going to get sold out by tourists anyway. They have no reason to be good, right? So when the owner doesn't have that need to do it, it's very hard. Like you love to see the legacy in LA. They have the same thing. People are going to go to Staples Center. They're going to go see whoever's there. Obviously, LeBron being there is a great attraction and he brings winning, but either way, Staples Center is going to be sold out. The Lakers are going to be a known logo. And then you have the Buss family who's able to take over, and obviously they've done great things for decades and decades. So shout out to Julius Randle for overcoming probably the worst organization in the history of professional sports.
Yeah. I could agree with that. And like you said, I think they kind of have the similar thing with like the Los Angeles Dodgers, where people wear the hats, but they have no idea. And then you have, the trendy New York people that just want to go to Madison Square Garden and take a selfie in the stands. So, they're going to, like you said, they're going to sell it anyway. So I think that's an interesting point for sure. Now, going back to the All-Star game, the starters positions were announced and the reserve positions. Now, I want to do a little mock draft here. So, Team LeBron and Team Durant. LeBron will get the first pick after the most All-Star fan votes in the league. So let's start with the starter position. Team LeBron, who do you think he picks first, Hannah?
Either Chris Paul or Anthony Davis. They're both really reliable on the court. And I know Anthony Davis is injured right now, but if he can push through it, he'll be successful.
Ross, do you agree or disagree with that?
I think he goes with his friends. I think he might take Chris Paul or Anthony Davis just because you got to stay tight with the family. If you go for a personal pick, I would love to see Steph Curry be picked because it's usually Curry versus LeBron. So obviously this year with Durant versus LeBron, I like to see a little Curry-LeBron teammate. But I think LeBron always sticks with the family. Nothing he does is not calculated. So you got to stay with the family. Probably. But if Anthony Davis doesn't play, and Chris Paul, listen, that's actually family at this point. Yeah. You might take him. It'd be nice to see Kyrie. I'm not gonna lie. If I had to pick someone that it'd be a great optic to see a little, reunite. But he has to get him with the first pick because Durant's first pick. I feel like that's the next question. I already know the answer. It's if Durant has the chance to get Kyrie, you don't have much of a choice. Unless actually you could get James Harden, but one of the two.
I agree. I feel like I feel like LeBron could go with Giannis Antetokounmpo for his first pick. True. I feel like back-to-back MVP, I think he's someone that you want on your team and that you should secure right away. But I don't think if he didn't pick him first, he won't be there for his next pick because like you said, I think Durant's gonna go for Kyrie Irving just because they have the team dynamic. I mean, it's like his safest bet, I think, going in for his first pick. So that rules out number 2 then. So going back to LeBron's third pick, who do you think he picks?
I wrote down Zion Williamson because I saw him on the list and he is a young player, but He's great at what he does, and he's definitely a name that should be talked about more, even though he's young. He still has opportunities, but he does what he needs to do, and he does it successfully.
Ross, do you agree or disagree?
I'm going to treat this as if it's like 2K My Park, right? I think the technical rules of the All-Star draft, you got to pick starters first, yada, 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 boring stuff. All right, I'm here to watch a great game. So I got Steph Curry and LeBron, right? Two of the best players in the league. I'm going with Zion. I agree. This is to me, I want the entertainment team. I'm playing 2K. I'm throwing alley-oops. We're not trying on defense. I want Zion Williamson on my team if that's the optics we're going for, okay? So right now, I got Zion, Curry, and LeBron. I'm going for team fun. We're going team fun right now.
Team fun. All right. So now 4th pick, going back to Durant. Who do you think he picks second? I think it'll be Curry.
I had that written down as well.
Right, so right now I think I have Durant, Kyrie. I think he goes with Kawhi. Probably go with the next best player on the board. Right, I think Giannis and Kawhi would be the next two obvious choices. I'm going to go with Kawhi just because I think he's the best player there. And Durant seems like the type who would take this too competitively and try to win, where I think LeBron doesn't care at this point. I'm going to go with Kawhi.
Okay, I think he'll take Steph Curry and LeBron will take Kawhi Leonard in the next round. I think I just see LeBron and Kawhi on the same team this year. I don't know. I see it happening. I think that'll be the choice, but Hannah, so you agree with that? Why?
Yeah, I can see it happening. I mean, it's like you pick the best player from everyone that's standing there, and that's what they're going to do first. They're going to pick the ones they know are going to show out and that are going to be the most reliable on the court with putting up points. So if he picks Curry, then LeBron's going to take Kawhi.
Yeah, I agree. And then going to the next couple slots, just rapid fire. Ross, who do you think's next for each player?
LeBron's getting Doncic. Two smart players. Stay in the same lane.
And then
Durant, go with the big, go with Joel. Try to actually, I feel, get a little more of a competitive team. He's by far the best big. I mean, you still got Jokic, but I don't know if Jokic can really guard Embiid for whatever amount of time. But there's no defense, so I'm going Embiid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think LeBron will take. I don't know who do you think LeBron will take 7th? Now I'm questioning again.
I mean, he could take Julius Randle. He's not one of the best players out there, but he does stand out compared to everyone else that he's played with. So it just depends when we get to this point, who's left.
Yeah, towards the end of the starting. Now, Ross, do you agree with this, or do you think pick up someone else?
I think so. We're going for their last pick of the starters right now for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think LeBron's going with Damian Lillard. I think LeBron loves Lillard. Like you said, he's the second most unappreciated player in the league. Go with another guard. He's a big himself. I have him having Luka. Match him with Steph Curry. Let's just rain threes and dunk the whole game. And you have Zion, who's 6'8", 265 pounds of unhuman strength and jumping abilities. So I think that's going to round out his starting 5 real nice.
Yes, I agree. And I think Durant will I feel like he'll take, for his last spot, take Bradley Beal. I think he'd be an asset to the team. But what do you guys think?
No, I agree. That's what I had written on my lineup for the last slot.
Yeah, I like Beal as the last player. That's a good top 5. Even though I think we're only supposed to use starters, but rules are
rules. It's an all-star game. It's not doesn't count for anything in the end. So
it should not have any starters. It should just be pick your top 5. I want to see disrespect. Like I feel like they're too nice when they do these drafts. To be like, no, he's trash. I'm not going with this guy. But listen, I won't get what I want. It's not what I want.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, it's all fun at the end of the day. And whoever they pick, honestly, it's just going to be a fun all-star game. Now let's make a bold prediction. Team LeBron or Team Durant, who are you going with? Without knowing who they're picking.
Team LeBron. He's always reliable, so.
I'm going to go with Team Durant. I feel like he'll surprise us.
I'm going Team LeBron. I assume they're going to do it the same way they did it last year as far as the scoring. I'm going to keep it real with you. It was so confusing last year. I don't remember it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. They had to be up by a certain amount of points. You win quarters, yada, yada, yada. Don't win by free throw this year. That's the only thing I remember about last year's All-Star game. It's been a wild year since then. I don't want the game to be won by a free throw, right? And if I have to go, can I go on another rant, Kayla? Am I allowed one more rant besides the Knicks rant? Go for it. I know we just spent all this time talking All-Star game. I don't think these players really wanted to come to this All-Star game. I'm going to be very honest, right? I think I don't want to get political on the show, but listen, LeBron James didn't want this. LeBron James is the commissioner of the NBA, in my opinion. All right, Adam Silver's a nice, fun guy, but LeBron James called the shots. I can't believe this game's happening. I cannot believe they didn't boycott it. I feel like there must have been a call to LeBron because to me, like I said, he runs things. If he says to the players, we're going, it's like the bubble. The bubble was like, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll do it. LeBron's like, oh, we're going to the bubble. And everyone's like, I guess we're going to the bubble to lose to this team, right? I can't believe it's happening. I'm super excited, super grateful it is, but I can't believe it. So we don't know the dunk contest participants. We don't know the three-point contest. We don't know who's going to show up. I'm assuming it'll have to be out of these starters and reserves. I think that's the rule, all the three-point, which makes sense. Quarantine a little. What are these, 26 people? But once again, can't believe this is happening. I thought LeBron would have put the call in 3 weeks ago saying, hey, big dog, Adam, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to Atlanta. You made us do all these quarantine things. You want us to go now, ship us to Atlanta, which is not the safest city right now as far as COVID cases. Here nor there, but I'm glad it's here. I don't know when it is. I completely forget. I'll probably remember the night before.
March 7th, I believe.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll write that down on my calendar. All right, March 7th. So, oh my God. Okay, 2 weeks away.
Yeah, make sure you're there.
Hopefully good. Yeah, I'll take a flight to Atlanta, see if I can get LeBron.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, honestly, I was also surprised that it was happening. I know when it first came out that it was, a lot of people were very against it. So I was, just in the scheme of things, I'm like, oh, they're going to cancel it or like boycott or something. So I'm surprised it's happening. I'm kind of happy it's happening. I think, again, I said this last time that last year, that was probably one of the last big events before COVID hit. So nice to see at least we've come full circle. We're back to some sort of normalcy. I mean, we're still getting through it. Who knows when this will end? We could be wearing masks for the next 5 years. So
Probably.
it has to go on at some point. We got to figure out how to do it safely, of course, make sure everything, everyone's staying safe, following rules, protocols, all the above. But I'm excited it's happening.
I agree. But yeah, no, I feel like hopefully next year we get a real All-Star game.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
Hopefully next year, no COVID.
No COVID.
2022, no COVID. That's all we can hope for. All right. So when we come back, we're going to go switch to a little more fun topic, discussing our favorite top 5 sports movies. Stay tuned.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
And we're back with Girls on Deck to talk something a little more exciting, a little more on the entertainment side of things. Favorite sports movies of all times. Now, this could be anywhere from one of Ross's Talladega Nights to more serious ones like The Blind Side, but all in all, they're just some great sports movies that we love to watch. Now, Hannah, I want to hear your number one top favorite sports movie of all time.
Recently, I've watched Safety, which is on Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. But it is the story of a former Clemson football safety, Ray McElrathbey, a young man who faces challenges with his family, with his life, and he overcomes it through the community, through just the Clemson football community, and he actually gets an NCAA rule overturned just for him. It's very inspiring. So if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely would go check it out.
Yeah, I actually just watched that with my family a couple weekends ago, and I was literally sobbing at the end of it. Like it was actually a very good movie.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, I was not expecting it. I was like, oh, this is fine. And then my mom and I are just like sobbing on the couch. No, but I think it was honestly that was
and it was recently.
It gave me like
it was recently filmed at.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It was in there like last summer or something, right? Or
because they had clips from their actual games, and then they actually redid the scene where I believe it was FAU at the end, where they make that one play that his little brother helps them with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was honestly a great movie. It kind of gave me like Blindside vibes, that type of thing, which, speaking of Blindside, is probably my number one, I think, favorite sports movie. You just can't beat it. I mean, Sandra Bullock killed the role. I mean, the part with the car accident, and he put his arm out in front of the little boy. And I mean, it's just honestly such an inspiring story. And, the whole family is now into sports. Now we have Sean S.J. Tui is our new director of football here at UCF. So The Blind Side now hits very close to home for the Knights. So I thought that was something cool to note. Ross, what's your number one movie?
Well, you both have talked about really great cinematic pieces, right? Great storylines, made you cry, made you think, brought tears to your face. I'm going with Dodgeball, a true underdog story, which is a complete 180 from what you guys are talking about, right? Do either of you know the 5 Ds of Dodgeball?
I have not seen the movie, and I know that it's a classic. I should see it, but I haven't seen it. I know a lot about it, but I do not know the 5 Ds of Dodgeball. I would love for you to explain.
5 Ds of Dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Dodgeball, so you got to be very careful, all right? This is a great movie. Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, right? Classic, right? Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. I've been quoting these things since before I understood it. It was the first time I saw a middle finger. I didn't know what it meant when I saw it. I had to ask my dad why that gesture made him so angry, right? I'm trying to think, more useless than a poopy flavored lollipop. I've said that to many people, and I meant it when I said it, right? Rest in peace, Patches O'Houlihan. He's not, I don't know who the guy who plays him in, but he dies in the movie. Spoiler. What a movie, right? The Average Joes beat the Vipers, or whatever the teams. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched that movie in like 2-3 years, but they beat the. You know what? Let me not spoil this because you haven't seen it.
I know you're
spoiled one.
Tell the whole movie here. We're gonna have to put a spoiler warning on the show.
Just know, yeah. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen Dodgeball, a true underdog story starring Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller. What a great movie! Brought tears to my eyes at some points. But yeah, honestly, the ending. Chef's kiss. It's a great movie.
I'm gonna watch it this weekend. I'll get back to you on my rating of it.
All right.
Yeah, very different.
Great book.
That's a great like emotional. Hannah and I have the emotional movies, and Ross is like Dodgeball. Yes.
Dodgeball, a true underdog story. It's an underdog story. Who doesn't love a true underdog story?
I mean, I can't. Okay, but you're gonna like my second. It's a comedy. So my second favorite all-time movie is Fever Pitch. Drew Barrymore, Jimmy Fallon. I don't know if you've ever seen it. A lot of people haven't heard of it, which is shocking to me. But I grew up watching this movie. So basically, Jimmy Fallon plays this Red Sox fanatic, like lives and dies by the Red Sox, has season tickets since he was a baby. His grandpa had the tickets before him. And he meets Drew Barrymore, who's not like that at all. Very business, very structured. And it's kind of like their love story and everything. And at the end, there's a scene where where Drew Barrymore runs across the field during a game, and that's actually happened. They did it during a game, so it's just it's such a funny movie. I recommend watching it very much, and it is my second favorite movie, despite many people probably not knowing it.
I don't know. You're not wrong, but Jimmy Fallon, a big fan. Drew Barrymore. I know the name, so if you watch Dodgeball, True Underdog Story, I'll go for Fever Pitch.
All right.
And we'll come back. We'll write reviews. We'll send it PDF.
We'll come back on a Zoom call, not recorded, and we'll have a discussion.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure we watch it. We'll have some questions, a quiz. We'll do the whole shebang.
Yeah, absolutely. Hannah, I want to know what your second favorite is.
My second favorite was Blindside, which you just talked about as your first favorite.
It's got to be a top two. If you're gonna put it on the list, it has to be 1 or 2 because you can't put it to like the 5th or anything.
Exactly. I could watch that movie 4 or 5 different times and never get sick of it.
I will literally cry every single time I watch it.
I have cried every single time I've watched it.
All right. I love Blindside, but it didn't make my top 5, and I feel bad. It was edging the 5th spot. My 5th spot's gonna be very controversial because I think this is we'll get there, but it's a controversial thing. But my second is The Waterboy starring Adam Sandler, right? I knew my second spot I needed to have an Adam Sandler movie, but I didn't want 2 Adam Sandler movies in my whole top 5, right? That's why you won't be seeing Happy Gilmore in the rest of this. So it was either Happy Gilmore or The Waterboy. And I thought deep down how I felt, I went with The Waterboy. Bobby Boucher plays some foosball, all right? So that's all that matters. I don't need to tell you more. If you don't know Bobby Boucher, and if you say something about his mom, what happens? If you don't high quality H2O, we don't need to talk anymore, right? This is by far Adam Sandler's best movie, which is probably no one's favorite movie. If you like Adam Sandler, which is already hard to come by these days by a lot of people, obviously big fan. You know what I just thought about? I'm not gonna lie, mid-sentence I thought about this. Is Uncut Gems considered a sports movie?
Is what?
Is Uncut Gems considered a sports movie? Because it has Kevin Garnett in it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, whatever. I already made the
Ross
list.
is reading his entire list.
Oh,
He's
I didn't
like,
think about Uncut Gems if it's technically a sports movie. It's like Die Hard. Is that a Christmas movie? But we'll just stick with The Waterboy. Go watch it. Phenomenal piece of cinematic art.
I mean, I definitely think you did the right thing picking Waterboy over Happy Gilmore. I would have been a little. You had to pick Waterboy. If you're gonna pick an Adam Sandler sports movie, yeah, I would say Waterboy. I haven't seen Uncut Gems, but I know it's a different side of Adam Sandler. It's not his typical comedy, different voice, acting type thing. So I definitely want to see it.
Uncut Gems was so 50-50. I've had people say it's the worst movie I've ever seen, and then people love it. I love it. My roommate said he walked out of the movie theater, so watch at your own discretion. On Netflix, you have nothing to lose.
I think my parents watched it. My dad didn't like it, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure. So I've heard a lot of 50-50 as well.
Yeah.
We'll add it to the movie list. Now we got to come back and rate that one too.
Yeah, we'll write that down. We have a whole list going. Don't worry, I got it on Word.
So my third favorite movie is a more it has funny parts, serious baseball movie. It's called Trouble with the Curve with Clint Eastwood, Amy Adams, and Justin Timberlake. So Clint Eastwood's character is one of the most successful baseball scouts for the Atlanta Braves, and he's getting older, more eyesight problems, and him and his daughter have this rocky relationship. So he brings her in. She comes in to kind of like help him out and everything, and it kind of just like shows like the whole scouting process of baseball and how like, you know, like times are changing, but sometimes the old-fashioned way is the better way. So I just kind of like the story. It's a very heartwarming story, and Justin Timberlake is a funny guy, so he has his like funny inputs and stuff, and I think it was just nice, like the father-daughter relationship. So it's very heartwarming, not very, I wouldn't call it a comedy at all, but I think it's just one of my favorite movies for sure.
I've never seen that, but it sounds interesting.
You have to watch it. It's so good. It's kind of like, because I know Ross, one of yours is, I don't want to spoil it, but one of yours is Moneyball. They came out within like a year of each other, and they just kind of give that same like serious vibe.
The vibe.
Mm-hmm. Hannah, what's your third?
My third was Chasing Mavericks. It came out probably when I was in middle school, so around 2013 to 2016, that time frame. But it's about the story of Jay Moriarty, who's a legendary professional surfer who successfully surfed the Mavericks when he was 15 years old. He lived, I want to say, in California, and he trained with Frosty Henson, who was one of his neighbors at the time, and it was intense training, but it's also another tearjerker.
So wait, because you put Chasing Mavericks, and then I know you have Soul Surfer on there.
I do.
See, I would say Soul Surfer would be ahead of Chasing Mavericks here. That's where I have the difference.
I just really liked this movie.
She has one arm, and she does. I don't know.
But like, she didn't surf these huge waves until she was in her 20s or her 30s.
I get that. I just think it's like the one arm. It's like, I remember that there's a one clip where she's like trying to like tie her like bathing suit with it. I'm like, how do you do anything? I don't know how you do anything.
She was cutting the fruit and it all just fell over and she panic attacked.
You know, have you guys seen the TikTok? It's so funny. It's like, my child is fine, and then it's like me trying to do things with one arm to see how Bethany Hamilton did things.
Yeah.
When that movie came out, I was like, how? And I would try to like do the stuff she does in the movie with one arm, and I give full props to her. I think that's why I have to put it above Chasing Mavericks, is just because I don't know how she even got back in. I don't even know if she walked onto sand again after that. So
a long bridge, that's how.
I literally injured myself ice skating, and I will never go near an ice skating arena again. So I give props to her.
You have to go ice skating. It's so fun.
I know. Well, one day, maybe we'll get back out there. All right, Ross, I want to hear. I think this is what was it, third movie?
Yeah. Ice skating. I feel you. I went rollerblading a couple weeks ago. I'm good on that. I'm not balanced. I'm not good on 2 feet, which I guess I only have 2. But honestly, I'm not very stable already. I'm the same way with bikes. I fell on a bike when I was a kid really badly, and I just don't do bikes. Like bikes are just not a thing. I have a car. Like it's so much faster. And also, I haven't seen those movies, but you said Justin Timberlake's in yours. That's enough for me. You had me at Justin Timberlake. We should have a top 5 Justin Timberlake songs on here. I'll put that down on the list for next time. But my third movie is Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Shake.
And
That's it. That's all I have to say. Because if you don't know the story of Ricky Bobby, you don't know a man that was on fire and then not on fire, but he felt on fire, and then you don't know movies. And you need to go out there and get some knowledge. Okay?
I agree.
That's my third movie.
I think Talladega Nights is definitely a classic movie just in general that you have to watch. I literally right before this, because I haven't seen it since I was probably like 10. So I was watching like a couple of clips and I was watching the prayer scene. And he goes,
Lord, baby Jesus. They're 6 pounds, 7 ounces, little Jesus.
And then he goes, as our friends from the South call it, Jesus.
He's like, my leg is paralyzed. Like, no, it's not, Ricky. Like, I could show you. Sacha Baron Cohen, Will Ferrell.
This could be another discussion, but Will Ferrell in any movie, anything he does, just the way he is hysterical.
He's the Floyd Mayweather of movies. Never lost, never came close.
Not wrong.
I don't trust people that don't like Will Ferrell, so.
I agree, and a lot of people don't like him.
I know, and it just like really scares me that there's that many people that exist that don't. But anyways, going on to fourth movie. Now, this was tricky because I really like this movie. So honestly, if you ask me tomorrow, it may go up in my ranking because it just depends on the day. Jerry Maguire, an absolutely iconic movie. It's one of my mom's favorite movies. My mom loves Tom Cruise. And I watched it for the first time a couple months ago, and I watched it like 3 times after. I was just obsessed with it. Such a great story. I was gonna say, show me the money.
Show me the money. Say it, Jerry.
Gooding Jr. won the Oscar for it. I mean, I think the movie won an Oscar itself. It's such a good movie, and it has like the romance and then the sports side. So I personally think it's one of the best movies. Also, going with Talladega Nights, one of the best movies in general, but one of my favorite sports movies for sure.
Mm-hmm. My next one would be Miracle, which is the USA hockey team going to the 1980 Winter Olympics with veteran player Herb Brooks. Definitely another inspirational one based on a true story.
I never seen that one. I think I've heard of it, but I was looking it up before, and I'm definitely gonna watch that because
it's on Disney Plus, and I think it's still on Netflix.
Yeah, it's told me it was on Netflix. It's goes like you can watch here, so I'm gonna be watching that later on Netflix because that sounds very interesting.
It's a good movie, and it's like teenagers our age. They're college kids, like Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, all the northern states where hockey is very big and close to Canada. So
gotta watch it, guys. It's definitely a classic because I've heard of it, so I know it as a classic. Yeah. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I've heard of it too. I know I've seen bits and pieces of it. I think I watched a couple weeks ago. My friend's super into hockey, had it on. I just was not focused. But yeah, and then Jerry Maguire, I might have only seen 2 or 3 times, but Show Me the Money is just that like stays in your head forever. You don't need to watch that movie a million times. Just scream, "Show me the money!" Tom Cruise, The Mission Was Impossible. He did it so many times. Shout out Tom Cruise. But my fourth movie is Moneyball. So I finally transitioned from dumb comedies to slightly serious movie. I finally made the switch on pick number 4. Jonah Hill is like Will Ferrell, where he doesn't miss. Once I see Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt, enough said. Obviously, some of that super into analytics, I'm not into baseball, but I could appreciate, like, neither was Jonah Hill's character. That's not what he was. He was a statistician. If you're able to interpret stats and you don't know the sport and be successful, like, that's amazing to see. It was a great movie, had all the different aspects of it, right? But the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but when they have, like, the little epilogue of what happens after, so heartbreaking that he just, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
It's based on a true story as well, so I always like those, like especially in sports movies. You know what, like Miracle as well, like right? Miracle's True story. I want to make sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to verify. I just second guess myself.
That was Talladega Nights.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that always just makes it more like interesting because it's not even like it's not some like made up story or it's true, you know. So I think that was cool about it. And highlights a little more about baseball because not a lot of people like baseball as much as I hate to say it. So any movie that showcases that, I will always support.
100%. Great movie. You don't need to know baseball to watch it. If that's what's stopping you, don't let that. It's more than just a baseball movie. Like it has all the elements of a great movie and Brad Pitt, which is the element of any great movie.
Brad Pitt and like you said,
Yeah.
I mean it's I never thought I'd need, but I needed it.
Oh, of course.
Now going into my fifth movie, another baseball movie, 42 with Chadwick Boseman. May he rest in peace. I think this came out in like 2012 or something like that. But it was the first time I had seen a movie with Chadwick, and he became one of my favorite actors after that. So I knew I had to put it in my top 5 just because it like literally resonated with me so well. It's a story of Jackie Robinson. And I think it was nice. Like, I love the movie because you always heard about the story of like, you know, how he came to be Jackie Robinson, but it was, you know, like watching it on screen, you really appreciate more like the struggle he had to go through to get to where he became and like what a trailblazer he was. So I think it's such an important movie. And again, rest in peace, Chadwick will be one of my favorite movies solely for just his acting in that movie.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see that movie, but I've never had the opportunity yet. So I'm going to have to see if I can find it on Netflix or something.
Yeah. I would put that at your top, like from needing to watch, put that at the top.
Amazing.
I'll watch it after this when I eat dinner.
Yeah, definitely.
So
now, what's your fifth?
I had Soul Surfer, but as we were talking, I was thinking about one that I saw a very long time ago. It's a true story with the baseball players, and they come from India, and they live with the rich recruiter. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was such a good movie.
$1 Million Arm?
Yes!
Okay.
I love that movie. It's so good.
I forgot about that movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I forgot about it also. And then you said baseball movies and you started talking about 42, and that's exactly where my brain went.
That's so funny. Wow, I forgot about that one. That one's actually a really good movie. I think that would be in top 10 for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Don't know about top 5, but top 10 for
sure. I might replace Soul Surfer for me.
we still have the argument later. Soul Surfer needs to be higher. But it's not even on my list, so I can't even argue.
Ross, what's yours?
First of all, 42 is a great movie. It has Elliot Stabler from SVU. I don't know his actual name, and I really feel, not to be disrespectful, but he's amazing in any movie he does. I think he's the GM at one point. But 42 is a great movie. My number 5, it's going to be controversial. It is Rocky, but it is not Rocky Run. It is not 1, Rocky 2, which are probably the 2 best ones, objectively. I can look at them, and obviously Rocky 1, the classic Rocky 2. But this is my number 5 spot. I'm going with Rocky 5. All right, versus Ivan Drago, okay, the Machine. Come on, that might be only my favorite movie because I don't know what you guys have today, but I know when I was young we had TBS, we were the same age, but whatever. TBS, FX. At all points of the day, Rocky 5 was playing on TBS and FX, and I would just have it on. If he dies, he dies. Like, come on. That's my favorite Rocky movie. I'm sure no one in the world will agree with this. I might be the only man whose Rocky 5 is my favorite movie. Yes, over both Creeds. And I don't want the argument because it's purely emotional, not factual. We have to go objectively, probably top 3 worst Rocky movies. But this is feelings. Like we go by feelings on this top 5 list, okay? Rocky 5, it's basically a Cold War movie, a propaganda movie, but I don't care. I was too young to understand what the Cold War was. Didn't matter. I just saw Ivan Drago, who was just a massive a man who was engineered to beat Rocky, and he couldn't do it. You know why? Because that's Rocky Balboa. That's the man. So that one's probably the best Rocky movie, in my opinion. But that's my number 5, and I think that's a good way to round out my top 5. I have 3 funny movies, 2 serious. I don't think Rocky 5 is the most serious movie. If any of these movies make you cry, if Moneyball makes you cry, I don't know, but I think these are I'm pretty clear in this top 5. Although Uncut Gems, if I had to recalculate, might slip in here if it's even a sports movie, but debatable. Another time.
See, I wish I could argue with you on the Rocky, but I've only seen like the majority of the first one, and then I saw the first Creed. I liked the first Creed. Personally, I was upset because I remember the Sylvester Stallone never won the Oscar for playing Rocky. And I remember when Creed came out again, he was nominated for the same character. So it was almost like his comeback, and he didn't get it again. So that's like, I remember I was so mad because I remember his performance in the movie was so good. So I can't argue with it because I have not seen Rocky 5, but I know that from hearing other people, I know it's not a popular decision. So kudos to you for your bold.
It's usually people's least favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a 30% Rotten Tomatoes score compared to like 80 for all the other ones, but I don't care. This is mine. It's my list.
Going against the movie critics and picking Rocky 5.
Rocky 5 all day.
Well, I said my 5. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I lose count. Once we start talking, I lose count of what we've talked about. But yeah, I like I like the diversity in our movies. I don't think they're very comparable, a lot of them, unless you know, like Blindside and Safety or Moneyball and like Trouble with the Curve. But I definitely think we have a lot to do this weekend, as in watching movies, because we're pretty uncultured, some of us. So, but this was so much fun talking about this. You know, it's kind of like the slower season in sports, so I figured why not have a fun topic and talk about some sports movies everyone loves.
All right. Thank you, Ross, for joining us this week on Girls on Deck. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week to talk more about what's going on in sports.